All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Today's video is going to be about Global 7, which is a new Swedish gaming company. I don't know very much about it, but luckily I found somebody who really digs deep into the video. Welcome, Hans.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so Hans is going to take us through Inner Global, all about what they are and what they're trying to build, and it's really an exciting company. And yeah, we talked about it yesterday, and God, I'm impressed of how much you know about this company. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it. First, a little bit about what you're watching here, the channel here. I'm the gaming and esport investor, and I have this YouTube channel. I've made a couple of these videos, which is all about one stock or one company. There's a video about Gravity, a South Korean gaming company, a video about YY, and now this video about EG7. And the next project, I think, will be a video about Mercado Libre, the South American e-commerce company. I do some videos about C Limited and Shopee. And I also, as a new thing, started doing some videos about investment topics. I made one about everything, I call it, and one about PE levels. It's for beginners, but also for a little bit more advanced investors. So look that up. And now it's all about EG7. I'm really looking forward to it. So Hans, will you tell us something about yourself?
Yeah, of course. I'm Swedish. I live in southern Sweden. Right now I'm in the middle of taking my exam because I'm becoming a teacher, and I'm really interested also in shares in the stock market. I think I've been in the shares market for almost 5 years now, but the first 2.5 years, mainly I was that guy who called another guy and said, what share should I buy? So I did a due diligence and worked really hard to find out what the shares market is all about. My conviction is that I want to know everything about the company that I'm investing in. So therefore I'm quite comfortable to have a high stake in the particular share.
Do you mostly do gaming stocks?
Yeah, exactly. I love the gaming stocks because it's easy to follow. It's easy to track games. You can both track the games, how it goes on Twitter, Steam, Epic, Amazon, Gamstat. There are a lot of sources that you can, look. Yeah, so and also I love gaming. I love to play games. So maybe that's the reason also.
What's your favorite game?
Oh my god. My favorite game is Guild Wars, the first Guild Wars. It's an MMORPG game like World of Warcraft.
Yeah. I think to invest in these small companies, gaming companies, I think you need to be a gamer because you have to understand what's going on. And I'm not a gamer really, so I would never be able to find out all the stuff that you found out about EG7 and understand it.
Yeah. So first of all, a small disclaimer. The information in this presentation should not be seen as a recommendation to buy shares in EG7. I'm just going to start with an introduction to EG7, and then I'm going to have a presentation of all the companies within the group. I will talk about their active M&A strategy. I will also talk about their pipeline of games, both in the internally and published companies. I will show little bit of estimates from the coverage, the stock or the share, and I will also talk about pros and cons. Uh, I've gotten some inspiration or sources from this presentation that I'm holding today. I won't talk a lot about a lot of it, but this you can find out and look about after this presentation.
Yeah, so we'll try to put this presentation in the we'll link it below.
So yeah, fun part. EG7. So Enad Global 7. So Enad stands for Unite. Global stands for global, the whole word, and 7 is for the 7 continents. So today it's a group of companies that has the whole value chain. They own their own future. They can develop games. They can publish them. They can marketing them, and they can also distribute them, both digital and physical. The group has several companies right now. They have 8 offices, and the Tollman Studios consists of Tollman Core in Stockholm, Artplant, Antimatter. They wrote it Antimatter out here, but I think it's in the Tollman Studios also. Petrol and Sold Out. So they cover the entire gaming industry value chain. They have undergone rapid growth, both organically and through acquisitions, but mainly through acquisitions. Pro forma with every acquired company, it's over 500 million SEK. And the market cap of the stock or the share today is 1.2 billion SEK. So the PS is quite good.
Yeah, and it's a little bit more than 2, so that's not very high. It's almost 3, but that's okay compared to peers.
And this is owners list of the 20 highest owners in the share. If you look at the top, you have the CEO and the co-founder, Robin Flodin and Rasmus Davidsson. They are the ones who have started the company, and it first named Tollman Interactive. They have acquired, for example, Petrol, Alan Hunter and Ben Grenades, and they have a high capital share in this company. They have acquired Sold Out, which is Gary Williams and James Cato. When they acquire companies, the entrepreneurs who come in the company, they get a high % of the company.
When you say acquire, did they actually pay cash, or did they pay with stocks when they acquired? Because if they pay with stocks, it seems more or a bit like they're making a sort of a community, or they are going together with other companies to build something that has an advantage because we're more together.
Yeah, exactly. They community, as you say, with entrepreneurs. So the more entrepreneurs that come into the company, the more they have to say, and then they can move the company forward. Yeah, and they paid both Petrol and Sold Out with shares, and also with cash.
Okay.
And the cash came from share issues and a bond. And if we also look at the owners list, you have, for example, Dan Sten Olsson with family. They own the Stena company. It's a really big leading shipping company. And Olsson family is a private investing fund, and they invested very early in Embracer, and they can see the same synergies and scaling in EG7. That's why they are heavily investing in EG7. And if you look also at Erik Nilsson, he works for that company, that fund, and he invests uh, own shares with his company, and he's also made it to the board right now. And they are also private investors that are really involved, not involved, they own the shares in the company, sorry. For example, David Wallsten and Johan Svensson, they are private investors and they're good investors. And if you look at, for example, Avanza Pension, 1.5 million shares, it's a few people that have a high stake from that also. And for example, David Wallsten is CEO from Dimfrost. Sordix, another listed gaming company, is owning Dimfrost. So yeah, and also a lot of funds. One really interesting part also is the free float of the company. Here it says it is 16.5, but in this it's also the last directed share issue from 3.5 million shares. So they are not showing in this list now. For example, I know that Consensus, Länsförsäkringar, Stena, Skandia, they have taken shares in that last directed share issue. So I think the free float of the company is around 10 to 15%, which is really low. So I like the major shareholders list.
Yeah, it also gives some certainty that if they get a good opportunity down the road, that it would be quite easy for them to take in money.
If we look at the company structure, so it started with Toadman Interactive in Stockholm, and after that they opened up an office in Berlin, and it was mainly to focus on extra content to their internally developed game Immortal Unchained. But that game didn't succeed. And after that, they acquired Artplant, and it's a Norwegian company that holds rights to the IP IGI, and in that acquisition they also got Toadman Russia, or Tver. And after that they acquired in June last year both Petrol and Antimatter Games. Antimatter Games is a UK that mainly has been focused on consultancies, and Petrol is their marketing agency. And last acquisition was Sold Out, the publisher and distributor of digital and physical games. And this is just illustrating what they have done. So first, they were a consultancy firm. In 2017, in December, they were listed on NGM, where they also got a contract from the EU. And 2018, they acquired Artplant. They got 76 million SEK in revenue. Last year, the pro forma was over 500 million SEK. This is for the 3 quarters, so therefore it stands 357 million SEK. Yeah. And they also made a change of list, so they are now in the Nasdaq First North. So this is the main legs in the company right now. The Toadman Core, Sold Out, Petrol, and Antimatter. If you look at Toadman Core, they are both the Stockholm office and Artplant. So Artplant was acquired in 2018 for 9 million SEK, and they have 2 offices, one in Norway and one in Tver. The focus of this acquisition was to get employees, get developers. For example, in Tver, they were, I don't know how many they are now, but there were 30 persons, and in Norway there were 10 persons. But the main focus was to acquire the IP IGI. IGI is a game that is a stealth tactical shooter game, and it was originally released in 2000 and 2003. So for 9 million SEK, I think it's was a really good investment. And this is what they are calling, or EG7 calling, in their M&A strategy, opportunity that they had to do.
Yeah,
And
9 million SEK. That's about $1 million, maybe a little bit less
exactly.
for an operating studio and an IP. If that IP is worth anything, that's fantastic.
Yeah. IGI is quite famous in Asia, like India and Sri Lanka, and also South America. They released a teaser trailer in November, and that got 1.3 million views. It just shows the interest of the game. It was over 5K comments, and if you look at every video of the Toadman group or the EG7 group that they put out on the internet, it doesn't matter what game it is, all the comments is flooded with, where is IGI? When will it be released? So yeah, I think it's high expectations of the game. And
why did the Norwegians have to sell it?
What do you mean, sell the company?
Yeah, why was it sold? What was there?
The main reason
so
was
cheap?
that they didn't have the money to develop game, so they needed investment to develop the game, and therefore there was that opportunity. The overall employees of the Toadman core is around 80 people. So later than June 2019, it's also an interesting amount of cash because they acquired it for 1.5 million SEK, but Antimatter had a cash of 3 million SEK, and they mainly worked with Tripwire Interactive consultancy work, and they are the one they worked with Killing Floor 2 with Tripwire, but they made Rising Storm 2 there alone, and it shows that they are capable of doing really good. Rising Storm has sold 1 million copies, and they have benefited in Mars a royalty revenue. I don't know how much. We will see in the Q1 report, I hope. But it shows that they can do games, and now they are internally focusing on their own project, which is 83. It's a Cold War tactical shooter, like an MMO tactical shooter, large scale maps with a lot of people. And they are also working on IGI. So you see the synergies between Artplant and Antimatter.
Hans, maybe I'm probably leaping ahead to something that you planned on talking about later, but I think many people watching this video will be sitting here and thinking, why on earth are people selling something so cheap?
Yeah.
And I think it's the same story as Embracer, that also they get the structure, they get the marketing, they get the help and the network that the whole group has. So all these small companies that are insecure and do not have the resources to do kind of all the other things about getting a game to the market, they can be a part of this and then get the game to the market.
Exactly. Now they have both Petrol, who can marketing the game, and they have Soul-Out, who can distribute the game. And if we talk about Petrol, who I'm very, very excited about, they were also acquired in the same months in 2019, but for a higher amount. So they were acquired for 171 million. They are mainly an agency who works with all the main AAA companies in the world. Recently, they have made all the visual ID for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and they have also done a lot of visual ID for the Call of Duty Warzone.
They've been on the Call of Duty franchise for
13 years.
13 years, yeah.
Yeah, and they've done some work for the most of the industry leaders, and I think this is one big reason for companies to or entrepreneurs to come in within the group, because they get this marketing that not so many other company has. So maybe this is one of the things that differs from Embracer, because Embracer don't have a mocap studio.
Also, I know that you're going to be talking about first-person, free-to-play games. That's a part of the in a global's future. And one of the things about them is that you have these loops all the time. That you have new content coming out, and you have to market that, and you have to analyze what worked and what didn't work, and you'll have to. So having the advertising company in platform, the ecosystem, that seems like a part of this live games as a service future.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I think they will benefit a lot of it in the future games, Evil v Evil. But it's a quite big company. They have over 70 employees, and the employees there are quite willing to, wrote what they have done and so on. So I think I was the first one to see that they did Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and like 3 hours later, Robin Flodin shared it on LinkedIn.
No, but that's actually part of the way you work. You write to these people whenever you see somebody. Or when you sniff up something, then you write to them, and that's actually part of why you know so much about this company, because you really dedicate a lot of time to figure out all the loose ends.
I follow them on LinkedIn. Yeah. So this was Petrol, and then we also has Sold Out Publishing, which is also exciting. And they were acquired the same year, so they made 4 acquisitions of companies that year, and it also a larger amount, 197 plus 64. And I think pro forma last year they made about 370 or 380 million SEK. But it's mainly from physical distribution. So they are a publishing and distribution companies of PC and console video games. They have a strong partnership with Team 17. Rebellion is also a big company. And Frontier Developments, they are also a UK-based company listed. And the partnership with them is for now only physical distribution. They are right now investing quite a lot in the digital space. They want to enhance that revenue share. I think in 2018 they have like 97% of physical distribution, and that's a quite low margin business. So it's that they want to enhance that digital transformation, and I think they have like between 6 or 8 digital products right now. They have also a good relationship with Epic. If you look, for example, No Straight Roads, which will launch next month in June, it's Epic exclusive, so they got an Epic grant. So I think this game will have the return of invest before it's launched, if you take the Epic grant and pre-order revenue. But they also made like a fund for indie games. So they are working with Epic on a fund that indie games can develop games and went to retail stores. Indie games that are developing in Unreal, they had the opportunity to come out to the retail stores also, which is quite interesting. So I hope there will be a lot of more maybe Epic exclusive projects with Epic. Overall, they have, if you talk about digital and physical, they have like 15 projects for 2020, and they have around of 20 employees. So overall, now the whole EG7 company has around 200 people. If you looked at the sold out business model before or now, they have both digital publishing, where they have in the pipeline 6 games in the next 2 years. They also have digital and physical publishing, where one game is No Straight Roads, and the other one is unannounced.
Hans, do they own any parts of the projects that are coming, or is it only distribution?
Yeah, exactly. From what I have searched, it's mainly a publisher. They are letting their the publisher or the indie publishers have they had the rights to their IP on their own. So
Okay.
but it's not clear yet, and I think it will be maybe different approach to it when they are more experienced in that area of digital publishing, and when the budget is more to that games. Then I think it will be more discussions that okay, sold out, we want to own 50% of this IP, or we want to own 100%. But the most games in where they are in the pipeline now is quite small, and the main reason also for sold out to come in this group structure is because they didn't have the funds, the money to take on bigger projects. And for example, if you look at the last directed share issue from 120 million SEK, a part of that money will go to invest in this publishing. So therefore, I think they will take on bigger projects, and maybe where they get IP also. So it's really interesting.
What is it that sold out can? As a what are they? What is their value proposition? Why should games companies choose sold out instead of another publisher, instead of Koch Media or?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think one major difference, as I said before, if sold out want to take on bigger projects, they have Petrol. And I think that they will have the synergies for that. For example, Embracer don't have a mocap studio, so they will have to take that externally. And so therefore, the communication in EG7, it's internally. So they own the whole value chain.
When I listen to you tell about it, it occurs to me that maybe maybe a company like Sold Out was a company that was in a business that was sort of going out of business and being too old. So now entering the EG7 ecosystem, they kind of get an option where they might be able to do this digital transformation, and EG7 gets their people and their contacts and their relations to games producers.
They are moving for the digital transformation, and with the funds from and the muscles from investors and the money they get from the share issues, they can do this transformation. So yeah, as we said, EG7, they own the whole value chain now. They have the developing, marketing, publishing, and distributing. So it's a full service offering. Now we're talking about the fun part. their active M&A strategy, and I have a sense that it's going to happen something really soon. And they want to be a leading industry player. They want to be the one that, everybody has in the minds when they are developing a game. And they want to have more entrepreneurs within the company. They don't want to stop. They want to acquire gaming companies that already has revenue and IPs. And within the group, they can scale up, but also they are willing to acquire IPs. And also, the second priority, it's platforms. And this is quite interesting. They talk about something that support Petrol's work. Petrol is mainly focused on the big Western companies. Maybe they are willing to acquire maybe another agency that has more focus on Asia. But they also want to have new publishers that could enhance the digital transformation. And this is quite interesting because Robin had now said 2 times that he wants to help Sold Out grow. He wants to complement this business. And also they want to acquire manpower or employees for Q&A because they now have already 6 internally IPs. And they need more manpower to deliver them, I think. And last of all is, opportunity. And it's a position where we need to buy that one, no matter what. And that was, for example, the Artplant.
So, Hans, when you said platforms, what can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, platforms is, for example, more a way to distribute or for every game. So, for example, they made an acquisition. I haven't talked about that. It's Game Sessions. It's a small acquisition that was developed in UK. It's a platform where the customers can come and vote and buy the games, but they can also stream. They can download it and play it for 1 hour, and then they can choose if they want to buy it or not. This is one kind of platform where they can put in the internally games and externally games. So this is one type of platform, and I think what I mean in this way for Petrol's work or Sold Out's work, they need to make a larger picture in some way, like Epic or something. Yeah. So they want to be, they want to enhance the value chain, the full service offering. Because right now, Sold Out, they are mainly focusing on physical distribution. So when they're saying that they want to enhance this platform, they mean like, we want to enhance the publishing arm, or we want to enhance the marketing arm. So it could mean it could mean different stuff. Both the game sessions, both the platforms within the marketing, both the platforms within the publishing.
But and EG7 is kind of a platform in itself for making a game and taking it to the market and then continuing with the live services after launch. So
it's quite interesting that they have gotten to this position so early, that it has already this value chain. Now they just have to scale it up and make synergies within it. So Robin says that he said something like 2020 is the year or something. I don't know what that means, and I don't like that kind of talk also, but maybe it will happen something more this year. They are in a very good position to scale up even more because they have a strong institutional support. They have big backers now. They have Consensus, Stena, Länsförsäkringar. Yeah. So he said also in this interview that we might see even bigger sizes in the future. So from the directed share issue that they made last month, it's part of making smaller acquisitions. But when you talk about making even bigger sizes, then he do these directed share issues when they are acquiring the company. So, for example, with Petrol and Sold Out, they did the directed share issue on that point when they acquired the company. Something in South Korea or Asia, because when they changed their name to EG7, the chairman of the board, Alexander Albed, he made the presentation of the company, and Robin was in South Korea. So I emailed Robin and asked him, what are you doing there? And he just said that South Korea is a big industry player and there are a lot of opportunities there.
So Robin would know who you are because you're always asking questions.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always harassing him.
Yeah.
Exactly. And in 2019, he looked over 100 companies and they bought 4. And they also scale up their M&A team. They are, for example, hiring a global head of corporate development. And this is on Sold Out's homepage. And it's quite interesting because they are talking about a rapid international scale. They will grow the number of foreign offices via M&A. Yes, so now we have talked about the group structure and the acquired companies and all of that. And yeah, as I said before, they now own the old value chain.
Yeah, so it reduces a lot of friction along the value chain. You don't have to consider calling somebody. You don't have to pay if you call for an advice. It's just easier. Everybody owns a part of this, and so everybody wants everything to be great and help each other.
Yeah.
Makes sense, I think.
So if we talk about the pipeline of the internal projects, so there are 6 right now. But the 3 first, I think it's the strongest ones right now. And it's Evil v Evil, IGI Orange, and 83. Minimal Effect, Block and Load, and Project Harder. I think it's smaller development costs. So, yeah. So maybe this is the most interesting part for everyone that is invested in EG7 today. And it's Evil v Evil. It's a fast-paced first-person co-op shooter, and you play as a vampire, and you should, with alone or with other friends, or online, defeat monsters and so on. And it's a world that changes all the time. It will come on PC and consoles. At least of PC will be later this year. The game will be a free-to-play game with like a revenue model like War Thunder and Warframe, which means they have in-game purchases and ads. But it's also a really interesting story behind Evil v Evil, because it was originally a consultancy game where Toadman had the right to 10% of the revenue. But now they own the IP. When I saw the gameplay of the game now in April, I was like, okay, this looks, it looks good. And then I asked myself, why did Leyu sell it in what was it, $2.6 million, when they have invested like $14-15 million in this project? So it first originally started with that Leyu. They both acquired Digital Extremes. Digital Extremes is an American-based company that made Warframe. And they also started an office in Hong Kong, which called Kingmaker. And they wanted to do a new Warframe. And they contacted Total Interactive at that point, and a deal was made. But the thing is, the Kingmaker, they were the employees in that company. That was mainly Chinese mobile gaming employees. That was their space. They had no feeling or so to make a Western audience game, and nonetheless in the PC and the console markets. So in 2018, Digital Extremes come into the picture, managed to get the game on the right path. The persons who have from Digital Extreme who have looked at the game, they have said that it looks really good, and they also like, okay, why did Leo sell it? And I have like some thoughts about why they would sell it. First, they started a publishing arm in America called Athlon something, and they are making Lord of the Rings with Amazon. So I think one reason is that they see a bigger potential in this because it's a massive IP. But also, iDream Sky. It's an Asian mobile gaming company. They are acquiring Leu, and they wanted to do that last year. They are still in discussions. But I'm pretty sure when iDream Sky have bought Leu, they will make Warframe on mobiles. So it makes sense that Leu are striving for another path, and therefore they sold the rights to EG7.
Free-to-play games, they're really audience builders, and they build customer relations with many people, and they're kind of an ongoing business all the time. You have to put out weekly or every second weekly updates, sales stuff. I think it's really it fits the organization that they've built. So if this game can become something, they will have the customer relation, they'll have business for every part of their ecosystem all the time. So if it's good, it's a huge opportunity.
Exactly. If it's good, it's a perfect match. So it will release, as I said, in the second half, but I hope we'll launch it like in August, September. This is also an interesting title, IGI Origins. So it's a prequel to the 2000 and 2003 titles. And it's like a spy game. It's a stealth game. And it's a first-person shooter. And it's during the Cold War in 1980s. And it's quite interesting because 83 is also an 83. It's in that space in the Cold War. So it will be interesting how they will benefit of the synergies between those two games. Because they will, right down here, they will merge in assets and engine in the Unreal Engine between those two projects. So I think that's also a good match for Artplant and Antimatter. They already made synergies within the group. It's planned for PC and next-gen consoles. And responsible studios for it is Antimatter and Tver. And it has potential because the prequels have sold over 1 million copies. The first teaser has had 1.3 million views, and it's planning for 2021. And also we have 83, with a Cold War gone hot tactical shooter. 83 will be released on PC and console. And it's Antimatter and Tver that are responsible also for this game. And the release, they are talking about 2022, but I think it will be a sort of early access in 2021, because before the acquisition of Antimatter, they talked about the closed beta. So it makes sense to make an early access of this type of game where they can get feedback from this hardcore player. And when I say hardcore player, this is the type of game they want. They want this realistic war game. They don't want to have a game where you need to have like 10 shots to kill a person. So they have a good experience of the Killing Floor 2 and the Killing Floor franchise and the Rising Storm franchise.
So with these games, are they, would you pronounce them indie games, or would you say that they are AAA games, or what's?
No, I don't think any one of this is AAA games. Maybe Evil. I don't know. It depends on when I see more of the game. But I think they want it to be a AAA game. But 83 or IGI, I will call AA game instead. I think
Okay.
they matter in that. And the other three games we will talk a little bit of, they are more indie games.
So, but many of the free-to-play games, they can start smaller with the smaller worlds and less characters, and to be successful, there has to be a journey with the audience as well into being this huge franchise like Warframe has become. So it's also a bit cheaper to deliver if you need the core part of the game really good, but you
Yeah.
don't need a fully built out game.
No, exactly. And it's the same with, for example, 83. If they take it on early access, they can have it there for 1 year, and they can build the game with the community, because this is hardcore fans and they want to be a part of this
Yeah.
game. This is the smaller, where I will call indie games. So Minimal Effect is a parody of Mass Effect. So and that is a big IP, but it will be an action-packed, hilarious space sci-fi RPG. Release will be next year on all major platforms. Project Hathor, we don't know so much about it, but it's an RPG game based on a well-known IP. The responsible studio for this is Berlin. Berlin is right now on a consultancy project for Fat Shark. And last of all is Block and Load. So they want to make a sequel of Block and Load, which is be called Block and Load 2. And it's a team-based sandbox shooter with this. And it's also 2021, 2022 for this release.
Do you know if Block and Load was profitable, the first one?
The thing is, it's Artplant who made this game, but they didn't own the IP. It was Jagex, and Jagex is quite a big company. So I think they were mainly like consultancies for this game. But Toadman has acquired this IP. So I think they saw the potential, okay, Artplant has done this game, so they can make the sequel. But I think it has been profitable, yes.
I'm not a gamer, so when I sit and watch this, I watch that Minimal Effect. I think, wow, how on earth are they going to feel that they can get a positive ROI on that? And yeah, I just experience told me that I should not try to sort of to be the judge of whether something like that should be profitable or not. You should probably just trust the management. And what I see here is that there are some companies that really wants to be a part of this team. So somehow some competent people knowing the gaming business, they think that these games are probably something that could be a positive ROI. So one will have to go with that.
I have tried Minecraft, for example,
Yeah.
And I don't like it, but yeah,
No.
it's quite profitable.
It's extremely boring, but yeah.
Yes. So if you look at the pipeline for publishing, the thing is, what I'm quite excited about is, yeah, of course, the digital distribution of new games. And I can say one thing: Westmark Manor is like a horror RPG single player game. Sold Out is not the publisher of that. It's Tollman Interactive, and it's a very small game because it's actually developers of Tollman Interactive who have made this game at their spare free time. Of course, the biggest potential of this pipeline is No Straight Roads. It will release next month. They released Zombie Army Dead War now in February, and it is contributed with great revenue sold out business. We have like 5 or 6 digital games that will be released this year. What we know now: Gestalt, Steam and Cinder. It's a Metroidvania like game, retro game, and it will be released on 4 platforms in this year. And it has some great potential because the developers are big in this type of audience, and they have already made good followers on Twitter. I think Gestalt has like 6K followers, and it's quite a lot for a small indie game. Radical Rabbit Stew is from Pugstorm. It's a Swedish small game, and it will be released in July. This is really interesting because when when EG7 acquired Sold Out, they made a presentation with slides and so on what they are going to do in the future. And they also released a current game pipeline by calendar year. And this one was erased the same day because here you have undisclosed, unannounced projects from their partners, Team 17, Rebellion, and Frontier Developments. And there are a lot of titles that are coming up. So this one it was made in November, but I think it has changed because of Corona. So for example, in Q2, I think Frontier Developments, they are planning to release Planet Coaster in summer, and it's still that date, but I think it will maybe transfer to Q3. And Planet Coaster is a simulation game, and it's a big on PC. And now they want to make it on consoles. Team 17, I think this is Worms, the new Worms game. And Worms is a quite big IP also, so there's good potential. And Rebellion, I don't know what they're planning. They have, as I said, they have released already Zombie War 4, but maybe something with Sniper Elite or another game. The most interesting part is, of course, the digital and physical publishing, because there you have the potential in the margin and also in the digital publishing. And this one has, now they have more games than they originally have planned after the acquisition. But I think the most interesting part is this one. It's a game from Rebellion. And if this is true, it's the first time Sold Out is publishing a game from Rebellion or their partners digitally. Their partners within the physical distribution. And this is, for me, an unique selling point. Unique point, that they are managing to take on bigger projects.
Do you know who Rebellion used to use for digital distribution?
They have managed it on their own.
Okay.
So therefore, it's interesting that they want Sold Out to do it.
Mm.
But yeah, the picture was erased later on. So I don't know if it's going to be changed. But I think a lot of these titles are coming out this year, but maybe in Q3 or Q4 instead. So there we have more triggers that will come, but also the digital. For example, you have something called Slit and Abermore in the digital publishing. They are not announced yet. As I said, the most potential in the digital publishing this year is, of course, No Straight Roads, which is visually a really cool game. It's a music-based action adventure. So you are like a rock band that wants to conquer the EDM business. And you play the combat with rhythm. So if it's bosses or ordinary NPCs, their combat is with music. And I think this is a space that a lot of players want to play. You have, of course, the dance games industry like Ubisoft's Just Dance and so on.
TikTok.
But that is purely for dancing, and I like those games. But it's cool to have an option to have also the combat with music. And they have a lot of, what can I say, famous artists in the game, and especially in the Asia industry. So my hope is that it will sell good in Asia because of the look of the graphics. It feels like it's for the Asian audience. And the developers is from Final Fantasy and so on. So yeah, they know the space. And this is an Epic exclusive, so they got an Epic grant. So I think this title will be profitable before launch. And last week they announced also that it will be released on Xbox and Switch. So the potential is even higher now. Estimates this year, maybe 200 to 500k. So this will be the first test for Sold Out's digital publishing. Robin said, Quarter-1 will be mainly about gathering and coordinating while we place greater emphasis on further strong growth during Quarter-2. It feels like the revenue will be around 160 to 200 million in Q1. Redeye had their old net sales from 134 million SEK in Q1. And they made an update in the beginning of March, where they said that they had 135 million SEK for January and February. So they beat that estimate in 2 months. And so now EG7 has 165 million SEK for Q1.
Do you know what was outperforming in Q4? In the beginning of Q1, that is, what was outperforming? Why was it better?
It was mainly because of Zombie Army 4 Dead War, because it was released in the early February, and
Okay.
it was a good, really, really good launch. And also, Petrol, they contributed with 40 million SEK in 2 months. That's in historical levels. It's all-time high levels for them. I think they had like 160 million in revenue last year. So doing 40 million SEK in 2 months, it's really good for Petrol. And Petrol also, they have over 40 projects. So I think they will show strong growth this year also. But if you look at 2020, last year in Proforma, they had 540 million SEK. So Redeye thinks of 690 and Pense thinks of 663 million SEK. And for me, it's not okay. I hope they get a better margin than Redeye and Pense, but that's not the focus now. The focus is on growth. And you have to bear in mind also that they have this K3 depreciation. So when they are acquiring a company, they need to depreciate the company in a fast way. So that's, makes the margin not so good.
So if you should make a guess towards the revenues for 2020, what if you should put out a range, a bearish range and a bullish range, what, just to get an idea of where your head is on that?
I think it ranges between 700 and 800, because I want to see more of Evil v Evil. But I know that they have, for example, the physical distribution, they have big titles coming this year. And you also have to think about the next gen console, what their contribution will be. And Soldat is working with big partners. So I don't think, maybe they will make 900 to 1 billion without any acquisitions. And okay, Evil v Evil. It will be really, really interesting, because it feels for me that Pencer and Redeye don't have the big picture of this company yet.
So a lot of people will say that, well, if they pay 200 million for a company, that doesn't make them richer, because that company will probably be 200 million worth. So why do you see such an upside in M&A?
It's because you have to. I would talk about it, but I can talk about it now. You need to think about the scaling. There are a lot of synergies for scaling the business and the acquisitions. So if you get more companies within the group, they will benefit from all of the parts: developing, publishing, marketing, and so on. So EG7 wants to buy companies that has that potential. They want to have acquisition of gaming companies that already has revenue. But within the group, they talk about scaling them up. And they see synergies to have more entrepreneurs and companies within the group.
So you were talking about Stillfront. I think that's a good comparison, because they, as I see them, they are a company that has this scaling advantage, that they reduce friction. They use the data and stuff to optimize the IPs that they are buying and the businesses they're buying. But then they all the time had the option that they might hit a hit game. Suddenly, and they did with their Niederhag,
yeah, exactly.
So that's what skyrocketed Stillfront, in my opinion, that they got the hit game, and that's kind of, could you say that that's what you see here, that you have this platform and you always have the option that something becomes a big success?
Of course, because now they have, what can you say, a lot of chances now. If they manage to succeed with one of these IP, it will contribute a lot, because of, I think the market cap of this company is so low.
Yeah. Also, when we're comparing to Embracer, I'm not a shareholder of Embracer right now. They're maybe getting too big to really get the synergies out. So when they get a new studio in, and that studio gets some embraces, yes, they don't. It doesn't feel like they have the same incentive. They cannot affect the
Mm.
total Embracer organization anymore. It's way too big. So my little game doesn't really make a difference. But for these sold out guys and Antimatter guys, their efforts really make a difference for the community.
Yeah,
So I think that would be a strength for EG7.
exactly. They talked a little bit of it, but I think EG7 will do a different path than Embracer. In what EG7 wants, they want to have entrepreneurs within the group that are aiming to make synergies.
Yes.
Um, there are some for sort of reasons you can be on alert, I think, within the company. So, okay, if the internal games does not meet up with expectation, yeah, it's one reason, because if we look at Matoneman Core, they haven't done a successful game yet. Antimatter has, but that has been acquired. So yeah, okay, you can always discuss that. And also the senior secured bond with the high interest rate.
I think they know that when they choose to pay 12% in interest rate, I think it's because I think it's more a sign of strength to
Yeah,
me that they don't want to dilute. They'd rather pay 12%. So
yeah,
they must expect that they get a return on an investment of more than
yeah.
12%.
And it's always a risk that when you're too diversified or made too many acquisitions, that you are not focused anymore. And also the entrepreneurs who come in, both if they feel like, yeah, I just want the money, and after lockup I will sell, or that they don't take in those entrepreneurs with the creativeness. That's always also a risk. And also this with the too high expectations. Robin has before said some comments that maybe he shouldn't have. It's always good to have this normal expectation of their games and the business. For example, that Immortal Unchained game, he said that it's like a Dark Souls game, but it sold 75k. But the thing with Immortal Unchained was that it was externally financed, and they had like 14 people on the team. But still, don't make those expressions of a game. And he has learned. He has,
Yeah.
Also, maybe we have talked about the reason to invest, but I think of the people who know the company but not has invested is still in the mind that this company is Toadman Interactive. But it's not anymore. It's a new company. It has the full value chain. So you need to look at it with new eyes. And also, I like it. Okay, they should always strive for company value, but also shareholder value. They want the share to rise, and that's good for me. And they have long-term. Should I say something?
No, yeah, I was just. It just occurred to me that Robin was actually from a poor background. I heard him in an interview. I was just thinking about how on earth did he pull it off? He had this consultancy firm, and suddenly they want to make an ecosystem. How on earth what does he have?
Yeah, that's quite impressive. Yeah.
He seems like he's got a fire burning. The comment about Immortal being the new Dark Souls, and
yeah, but
it's also quality. I mean,
yeah, it's
how did he pull it
you
off?
need to be a visionary. You need to have goals and so on. So it's both positive and negative. And his role model is Jeff Bezos from Amazon. which is also quite interesting.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
also the insider list you or the shareholder list you presented, there are
Yeah,
a lot of people that are knowledgeable about gaming
exactly.
and knows the space. Yeah, so they must feel that Robin and his team has something that they might be able to pull it off.
Yeah, yeah. I think that shareholders list is one of the best I've seen. It's
But
always
we need Tin Funder there. Why are they not there?
exactly, Tin. Uh, I think they would have been invested if they were in Swedbank Robur, but they have a new approach in Tin technique. There, they want to see the company that they invest in that they have some digital products that are strong.
Ah,
So that's their new approach. So maybe if they're seeing that Evil v Evil is a good product, then I'm certain they will invest in the company.
mm,
So it's a different company with more muscles. They can take in more money, equity, and within the acquisitions. And they have a lot of backers that wants to invest in the trip. And then we talked about the benefits of the scaling. So like events, showing games to the press, to the gamers, and all the data about the market and so on. They got a lot of benefits. They have diversified revenues now and will have more of it in the future. And they have great entrepreneurs in the company and will have more in the future. And also the last thing, it's quite interesting. I always look at the owners at Avanza, but that doesn't say anything. But that doesn't say all of it. But yeah, a little.
so Avanza is for anybody from that is not Swedish that is listening. That's the most used Swedish bank for private investors. Is that?
Yeah, it's correct. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if the biggest, but we can say it's the, what do you say? The one the private investor use a lot, the
Yeah.
most of the private. Yeah. And so if you look at compared to owners and the market cap, so EG7 is at the bottom, and maybe it's because it's not interesting enough, or it is that the market hasn't found the stock yet.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot about demand, a lot about awareness by smaller investors, and smaller investors can definitely move a company like EG7.
Yeah, so yeah, this was the presentation of EG7. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.
It was really good, really interesting, and really impressive how much you know about it, Hans. That kind of makes me comfortable. I always talk about this about having an edge, and for me this is an edge because I know now that you know more than the market, and so that's an edge, and I feel I know more than many of EG7. So
Yeah.
but for me it's really the project makes sense now. I didn't know what it was. I remember when saw the headlines they bought Petrol, and I was like,
Yeah.
Embracer never did that. Why are they doing that? But yeah, I'm comparing them a little bit with Keyword Studios also, which Keyword Studios are really having traction, but they'll always be they're a marketing and analytics about games that are about to be published, and they can localize there in many countries. But they're always working as a consultancy, and they're always having this this friction that we have to negotiate a price, and we have to make a contract, and we have to have some lawyers that helps us agree, and suddenly you have a lot of transaction costs. Really, we just want you to make a trailer, or we just want you to make sure that the language is okay, but it costs a lot to get there, and for a small gaming company, that's not an option. You cannot hire a lawyer to get that service done. So I really understand the EG7 project here, that they can be this place for smaller games studios, where they do not disappear like they do in Embracer, but they can come here, and with EG7 they can make 2 + 2 become 5. Another perspective, I'm really interested in networks and networks effects and platforms, and if you see EG7 as a network, then you have some user groups, you have some game developers, you have some advertisers, and you have all these people, and sort of the more that are in the network, the bigger the advantage gets, and so they're reducing friction between developers and publishers, and so if they can become this network of smaller people, where you don't need to hire a lawyer, you can just use each other, partly because you're part of the same company, but also just as a model of why this is creating value, because it's not, the games are not getting better, but the costs are being reduced significantly in this ecosystem or on this platform.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you talked about it, Robin, that it's like having all these entrepreneurs sitting in a table and discuss everything, and it's more efficient than before.
Yes, I think that kind of wraps it up. If you have any questions or anything, you can fill them in below on the questions. I will poke Antzzo and have him help me answer them. And also look up Antzzo on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter is Antzzo.
Okay.
Yeah. So search for Antzzo, and I'm also on Discord. Yeah.
So look up Antzzo and ask and discuss. I'm sure he will be more than
there will be a
to,
lot of questions now
to do that. So and thanks for listening, and please share this video, and do press do like it, and and do subscribe to my channel for future videos like this. And thanks again, Antzzo. It was really great and inspiring, and really thorough. And I'm really impressed by guys like you, how much you get to know a company. And that's that also scares me a little when I get
yeah, exactly.
There will be somebody like you.
They're talking about being married with a stock, or a share, and that's not good also. And thank you for the opportunity to make this presentation.
Hey, it was great.